Hello and welcome. Today, I'm going to do a movie recap regarding a 2020 American science fiction comedy film entitled Save Yourselves. Warning. Spoilers ahead. Enjoy the recap, everyone. The movie starts with a statement that this was the year the Earth was lost. Jack, played by John Reynolds, and Sue, played by Sunita Mani, are spending the night in their apartments. Sue is upset at Jack for using her computer and deleting the tabs she was looking at, since it was for her job. As Jack tries to defend himself, Sue's boss changes her assignment, to her frustration. He apologizes to her and they reconcile, but then they go back once again, to the internet. The couple goes to a party where they meet up with some friends. Some of the friends are getting along in their lives and careers, while others feel they are stuck in a rut. One of the friends, Raf, talks about a recent experience he had, and offers the couple a chance to stay at a cabin of his for some time away. The next day, Jack and Sue decide it's time to disconnect from their phones and internet to go to Raf's cabin. Sue calls her boss and leaves an email to request time off, only to discover that she's been fired. She tries to turn it around and figure it's a good thing. They spend the rest of the day in their apartment before packing later on and heading out on their trip. Jack and Sue arrive at the cabin and proceed to spend time together. Jack is annoyed when Sue has come up with a list of ways that they can try to be a better couple, as he just wants to take in the scenery and nature. They later spend the night looking up at the stars, with some appearing as though they are falling to the ground. While in bed, Jack wakes up and starts yelling at a chair to leave them alone, but Sue doesn't see anything there. Out in the woods the next morning, a man is seen frantically running away from something. At the same time, Jack and Sue take a canoe out on the lake to meditate. The man almost comes near them, until he is pulled away by the mysterious creature. While the couple feels at peace with the ambient sounds of nature, Jack is annoyed again that Sue has everything organized, which he equates to being the same as having a phone in hand. They jump out of the canoe and go back to the cabin to find a large fuzzy brown thing on the floor, which Sue calls a poof. After they take a shower together, the poof has disappeared. Jack goes to de-stress by chopping with logs, and Sue finally caves and turns her phone back on. She finds a ton of texts and voice messages with commotion going on in the background, plus her mother talking about the creatures being described as rats, but her mom says that they aren't. Jack comes back and decides to agree with her on the list, while she hides that she turned her phone on. He starts to discuss his insecurities and feelings about himself, while Sue tries to reassure him he is fine. He tries to get Sue to confess something, but the most she can manage is that she eats her contacts out of habit. They are then startled by some kind of animal hitting the window and then running out of sight. At night, Jack and Sue play cards and get drunk before they start making out. Outside of the cabin, Raf appears in the grass with blood on his head before he collapses to the ground dead. Standing behind him is the poof from earlier. Later, Jack wakes up to yell at something he sees again, only this time the poof is slightly noticeable in the darkness. In the morning, the couple finds that Jack's sourdough starter is gone, as well as their bottle of whiskey. Sue thinks whatever consumed both items was in it for the ethanol, as she slightly recalls hearing her mother mention it. They then find the poof in their living room again, and when they try to approach it, it flees by launching a long thin proboscis out the door and pulling itself along at high speed. Jack and Sue freak out and lock their place down, and Sue confesses to turning her phone back on. Jack relents and decides to go back online to find out what they are dealing with. They find messages from their friends who have encountered devastation, and some of them are dead. Sue listens to the full message from her mom, who describes the creatures as aliens. They also hear a message from Raf, who said he was heading to the cabin, as well as mentioning a gun that is in there. The couple tries to drive into town to get cell service, only to find that the poof siphoned their gas. The couple finds Raf's gun, and they grab other items around the house to use as improvised weapons. They gather their food and stay in the cabin for one more night as they try to protect themselves. While sleeping, Jack wakes up yelling again, but he sees the poof taking Raf's appearance, telling him that the poofs will take better care of the planet than humans have. Sue snaps him out of it, and they see the poof, forcing them to run out of the cabin. They run to a barn to find that an old Land Rover does not only start up, but it has a full tank of diesel fuel. They spot a poof that almost takes their gas, but ultimately doesn't. They flee just as a whole pack of poofs start taking over the cabin. Driving through the woods, they find a truck coming the other way pulling off the side of the road. A couple gets out of the car, and the wife produces a gun. The poof fires its proboscis at her and punches a hole in her chest, killing her. The husband runs to check on her, and the poof punches a hole in his head, killing him as well. As the poof spots Jack and Sue, Jack throws a wine bottle to try and get it away from them. The poof floats upwards and produces some kind of sonic wave that leaves a putrid smell.
Oh God.
It's in my mouth.
As the couple tries driving ahead, they hear a baby crying from the other truck. They argue over taking or leaving the baby, but ultimately their consciences win over. They see the baby in the back seat of the truck, and they open the door and begin unbuckling the car seat. As they do, a woman emerges from the bed of the truck, having hidden under a blanket. She sneaks around the other side of the truck and grabs the gun on the ground. As Sue and Jack notice the woman keeps them at gunpoint and says she is taking the car and even fires at them to prove she is serious. Sue asks the woman about her baby, and the woman says it is not hers and drives off. Jack and Sue take baby Jack into the woods to keep trying to move forward. They find a birth certificate and discover that the baby is also named Jack. While Sue and Jack change baby Jack's diaper, they begin hallucinating from the poof's pheromones. Under the influence, they muse about getting married and doing great things when society rebuilds, and do not notice that baby Jack crawls away. Sue pulls out 2 needles of epinephrine from the truck and injects herself and Jack, knocking them unconscious. They wake up to find baby Jack gone. As they start searching for him, they discover baby Jack and a poof sitting between him and them. The poof shoots its proboscis at Jack, but somehow only knocks him over instead of killing him. Its proboscis becomes stuck in Jack's papoose. Sue grabs a knife and cuts off the proboscis, which deflates and kills the poof. Jack pulls his cell phone out of the pocket, which is now crushed because it blocked the impact of the poof's proboscis. Each touched by the other's willingness to protect them, Jack and Sue climb to a lookout point along the trail with baby Jack. They see some kind of crystal formation out of the ground nearby, and investigates. Sue tries to touch it but is blocked by some kind of force field. Jack guesses that it is some kind of communications tower. The two then discover that their phones have mysteriously regained signal, and they immediately check them for information. While they are on their phones, the structure changes shape and trap them inside of an egg-shaped structure. They are unable to break through and they scream for help, though their voices are silent outside the bubble. Sue calls 911, but is directed to voicemail due to high call volume. Moments later, the bubble floats up to the sky with them still inside. Jack and Sue see a chopper flying over the woods before it drops a bomb in the area to wipe out the poofs. The three are brought high above the clouds, where hundreds of other bubbles are also rising into space. Jack and Sue are left contemplating what is happening, and what will happen as the bubbles continue their gentle path out into space. I hope you enjoy another episode of our movie recap. Until next time.